Welcome to Causing the Effect, a podcast focused on the exploration of your mind, body, and spirit.
My brother, Joe Trovato. What's up, baby? How you feeling?
Great, man. Life is good. Everything's going in the right direction. Very happy.
Dude,
How are you?
I'm glad to have you on. Everyone, check out last year Joe came on. AK, I just when I think of you better than before, and this is why Joe's here, better than before too. His fundraising event for cancer, which is very close to him and his family. It's even closer to me and mine. I'm dealing with some of that stuff now. Joe, you've people loved our conversation. I'm glad you're on again. Shout out to everyone that has supported us throughout the process and all that good stuff. Leave a like, review, subscribe, all that stuff. But Joe, tell me what is on the docket for Better Than Before. If you're hearing this, it's probably going to be in December, probably a couple weeks before it's happening. But Better Than Before 2 is December 17th. If anyone wants to come from Causing the Effect, just come message me before, because then I'm going to be there with Joe. So I know you guys came to the Met Gala, met up with me. Come. It's in Bensonhurst, Dolphin is. I'll put the location of Dolphin too. If anyone wants to come hang out. I don't care. I'm pretty chill. Joe's pretty chill. We're not superstars here. So just come message me and we'll figure out a link up. Maybe we'll do something for Causing the Effect. We'll figure that out, Joe. But what do you got planned on the docket? How are you going to top it last year? Because last year you raised what? The goal was 30K and you raised over 30K, 35, 36. You wanted 500 push-ups. You blew past that. What more are you going to do, Joe? What do you got?
Well, in terms of the donations, we ended up over 35K, so that was great. That's the most important thing. But in order to encourage the donations for Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center, saved my life. In order to encourage more, I want to get pretty extreme. So last year was pretty extreme for me. This year, I'm going to be doing an exercise called standing shoulder presses. For those of you who are unfamiliar with lifting and working out, basically I'm taking a weight and putting it over my head, hoisting it over my head. And I'm going to be doing that with 140 pounds. And my goal is to get 100 reps in 1 hour. So that's the event. Try my best. I'm going to have Patrick Jackson and Chemo Smack there doing deadlifts next to me. And they're going to do as many as they can. And that's how it's going to go. We're going to try to raise more than last year. That's a big ask, but we'll see. That's out of my control, so I try not to worry about it. But I'm doing my best to bring awareness. Scott, I appreciate your help with that, but
yeah, brother,
that's what's happening.
I want to get to this challenge here, because this is tougher than push-ups. Push-ups are equally difficult, and doing how many you did was crazy. But you're still keeping it with the chest, shoulder work. How you feeling preparing for this shit? Because this is a different type of prep.
Well, I'm having issues.
Okay.
I don't mean to sound negative, but I am having issues. Doing the pressing motion over your head might not, a lot of chiropractors and experts and people have told me that, it's not really that good for your shoulders and back. And I'm feeling the effects of it. So I'd like to push harder than I actually am right now, but I understand you got to listen to your body. I'm doing supplementary exercises, rotator cuff exercises, and back exercises to help kind of balance out that motion of pressing up. So the training is going very well. I'm confident I could get to the 100 reps.
That's 100
that's part of the suspense.
Yeah, this is I'm interested in this. This is the one of the hardest exercises to do is the overhead press, because it's involving everything. Because you could have done sitting down, or you have to work your core, could have cheated a little bit. You're doing standing press, Olympic bar, right? Yeah. And then 40 pounds on top of it, or no weight, just the bar.
Oh no, 140 pounds. So
140 pounds.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. I was going to do 135, but, the two big plates, but figure make it a clean number, add 5 pounds, 140, 100 times. That's what I'm going for. The reason why I picked this is because in the spirit of my event, Better Than Before, this is something that I could truly say, I was a gym rat. before I got cancer, but I can truly say if I attempted something like this before I got sick, I don't think I could have done it without training for a couple of months. And so that to me is, it kind of encompasses it kind of, I'm trying to inspire, I'm trying to raise money, and I want to do it in a way that I shouldn't physically be able to do this after what my body's been through, but I'm back and I have motivation, I have a support system. I have Dolphin. I'm shouting out to Dolphin Fitness Gyms. Murray, my coach, he
Dude,
hates when
shout
I
out
call him
to
my coach,
everyone
but
at Dolphin. Murray, we love you. Tommy, we love you. The return of the
yes.
great one is happening this week. You guys got me back. Stop bothering me. I'm coming. We had some issues with we're all dealing with our shit. But so
Yeah,
give everybody the overview of your story and check out that episode was last year during this time too. So check it out, and I'm gonna link that one too. But give everybody the quick overview of what happened because it's a pretty
sure,
wild.
sure.
Yeah.
So basically it was 2019, November 3rd, 2019. Weeks leading up to that day, I had been feeling dizzy and just kind of uncoordinated, and I mentioned this on the last podcast, but I had a trip with my friends in Miami. Um, didn't feel well during the trip, and I told myself after this trip, I'm gonna go see a doctor. I'm gonna go to the hospital. Something's not right. Anyway, I get home, go to the hospital, and I find out that night, a couple hours later, that I have cancer, testicular cancer, but it had spread to my abdomen, my liver, my lungs, and my brain. And that's why I was feeling dizzy. And if I didn't feel dizzy, if it wasn't in my brain, I wouldn't have felt dizzy. I was a typical irresponsible 30-year-old bachelor that that I never got sick. So I didn't see a doctor. I thought, tough through just tough through medical situations, but something was wrong. Thank God I went, and I spent the next over a year doing treatments, chemotherapy. I had 10 brain radiations. I had a stroke because of the chemotherapy, because the tumors in my brain, I had 7 tumors in my brain. They started bleeding while I had chemo. So then they had to do radiation so I couldn't get chemo again. Went to high dose chemo. Then I had major surgeries. I had a huge blood clot in my leg. I had 2 lung surgeries. I had a surgery to remove um, the tumors in my lymph nodes, and my liver. And I had lost like about 75 pounds. Oh, more importantly, high dose chemotherapy, which is basically a procedure that they take stem cells from your body and they inject it into you after giving you this chemo, because if they don't do that, it's a deadly treatment. So the stem cells help you recover and fight off death, and it completely wipes everything out of your system. All the vaccines I had when I was a child wiped out. 50% survival rate. I got to be at that top 50%, but yeah, it makes you really look at life differently. It makes you appreciate life. And I made a deal. I made a deal with myself and with God that, when I make it through this, I'm gonna give back, and I'm gonna live a better life. And this is kind of this deal with God. It is kind of what got me to this point, of doing this for the second year in a row. So
Dude, I know you told me that last year, and I think it's just hitting me a lot harder this year because, dude, that's, when you hear cancer, it's bad, right? Everybody knows. You just don't realize it until, the person in my family dealing with it, all this stuff. Like, bro, you had it everywhere. Like, what? I can't even like, I'm dealing with it personally. So it's just a different thing. I can't even imagine it being me, how I would react. Like, it just feels out of control. It's the only way I could, like, what did you feel like when you first hear this? Like, what went through your mind?
it was scary.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, my girlfriend was next to me at the time. She's the one who was like, we should go to the hospital right now. Um, and we found out at the same time. I was at a loss of words the first couple of minutes, but then I was like, I didn't say this last year, but I had I'm Catholic, so my cousin Tommy had a confirmation about 2 to 3 weeks before I was diagnosed, and he asked me to be a sponsor. And we had a couple different conversations. I wasn't too religious at the time of these conversations, so I told him, like, you got to get comfortable being in uncomfortable situations. Life isn't fair. Life isn't easy all the time. Life is great, but it's not always easy. And I said, you got to get comfortable being uncomfortable. And it's a good thing I said all this because I talked a lot of shit like 3 weeks before. And I was like, wait a minute, I just said all this. I gotta live it. And I gotta, I'm gonna beat this. I told the doctors, I told them I'm gonna beat all the records. I think I beat one of them, the biggest blood clot, but I told them we're gonna get past this. And, you know, luckily my support system made it much easier. My mother, no one will ever love me more than that woman. And the love I received from her during, like, she would not leave the hospital. Then COVID happened, and no visitors, but my mother, my father, my step
Oh, it's
parents,
during
my
COVID
aunts, my
too.
uncles. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Kind of like your family.
Bro,
You know,
but
you,
that's dude, but like you went through that during COVID. Because I know it's hard to get up to the hospital now. They only let two people up at a time. COVID,
yeah,
were they allowing up one person at the most, maybe two?
one person for it was either 4 hours a day or 6 hours a day. And luckily, my longest hospital stay in the beginning, it was 66 days. That was before COVID started. But I had to stay at the hospital for, especially with the high dose chemo that I told you about, because my immunity, I had to stay at the hospital for mm,
Over 2 months.
well, not straight. I was able to go home, but man, it really opens your eyes to being by yourself, staring at a wall. There's a TV in a room. There's nurses that come in, which, hey, I love the nurses I had. Now, shout out Janan, Joelle, I mean, Noel. I'm not going to name anymore because I don't want to leave anyone out. But um, even though I had nurses coming in, they had other patients, and just being by yourself. My mother would come 4 hours a day, but that was it. It was rough staring at a wall for 20 hours a
And
day, not having
I
comfort.
could attest to the my aunt. She can't even. She's dizzy, like how you were dizzy with the because when you have it related to the brain, you can't even watch
Hmm.
TV. So you're sitting
Yeah.
there. It's like you can't even. You're just feeling miserable. Now, what would you say was before this happened? If you could even remember who that Joe was, like, what would you say was your meaning? Was you say what would you say was your vision? What would you say was Joe's biggest values? And then fast forward to even like just even to today, and even if you want to get like maybe a change in the last year, like how is the values and meaning of your life changed, and that whole thing? That's a big question. So take a second. That's
That's a
yeah, that's heavy.
really good question. Yeah, I need to take a second.
Yeah, man.
You know, I don't really think my values changed. Just a couple of things were enhanced. I've always been a family man. I've always liked kind of working with people and having great moments with good people, and I've always, I've felt empathy for people that I thought needed that empathy. Um, since everything I've went through, I feel like all of those things have been enhanced to another level. That's probably the best way I would describe it. Obviously I have my hobbies and things of that nature, but my values, yeah, family, health, and working out, yeah, that's something I left out. That is enhanced. I'm on next level. I'm 7 days a week. I have to stop myself from going to the gym sometimes just because I love it so much. Um, yeah, that I think that answers your question.
Yeah. And
Just
what
enhanced.
now? What about the? Because I would just think life. You took it a little for granted pre-cancer.
Okay,
That
that's
meaning,
something. I'm glad you said that.
no, you hit the values in piece. But as far as the meaning of what, like, did you look at every day now like it's really a gift and all that stuff? Does it kind of go away after 2 years of remission? Like, is it like, because I was going to ask you about the remission piece too, but first go through the meaning and how that changed once you get hit with this. Because like, I really have been trying since I knew you were coming on this weekend and what's going on. It's like I've been trying to put myself in the shoes of you guys. And I'm like, it just must take another level of courage just to even like fight, you know?
Mm. Um, yeah, it does go away a little after 2 years. I'm not going to say that every day I wake up, I'm like, oh, I'm so happy to be alive. I am, but I don't consciously say that to
Mm-hmm.
myself like I did the first month of my remission, which was euphoric for the first few days, like literally euphoric. I would be laying in bed smiling and being like, I'm alive, That dwindled, but it's still there. Appreciation for life. And Scott, you mentioned how you couldn't imagine going through it. After looking back and kind of seeing, like, remembering things that happened, I feel to this day that it would be tougher if I saw a loved one of mine going through it than if I actually went through it myself, because I had a little bit more of control mentally over my own thing. You love one, you want to say all the right things, you want to encourage them. I try to talk to as many people going through cancer as I can, and try to make them feel better about it. But it's hard when you're not in it. And that's why I mentioned last year, my family, come from a classic Italian family. A lot of prayers, a lot of worrying, a lot of emotions. And I really wanted, I saw the pain in their eyes from what I was going through, and I really wanted to help them. And I'm recycling things I said last year because I just listened to the
Yeah.
podcast. But nothing's changed. It's
Yeah.
true. I really, and that helped me. Helping them kind of helped me. So I guess what I'm doing with this event this year is continuing to help. I mean, I don't know the people personally that my fundraising, or our fundraising is just, it's just me. I got a team with me. Um, I don't know who this is going to help, but I know it's going to help people that went through things, the same types of things that I went through. So it's giving back, and that helps me mentally. It keeps me focused. Doing my event of the shoulder presses 100 times, 140 pounds. It's not something you take lightly. I mean, there are powerlifters that could probably do it with no problem at all, but I'm not a powerlifter. I'm not a professional bodybuilder. I'm not, I'm a gym goer, um, and just raising money and pushing myself to a limit has helped me physically, mentally, and spiritually. So
Yeah, and like, listen, Joe, we could do the same thing and do everything with the money, 40K, whatever it is, beat it, and you don't gotta kill yourself and do it, and everybody would be just as grateful. But I like that you decide to say, hey, I'm gonna sacrifice what I could and try, probably against some people's wishes with fucking 150-pound shoulder presses. So it's crazy.
140.
Yeah, trying to give you a
But
couple
you never
couple of
know.
cups.
Maybe I'll up it. But
Now,
I'm not going to
but
put that
like
pressure
for
on me.
this routine, like this regimen, because I would think with the push-ups, there's more ways to look at it and more ways to get set up, because that's like people try to do this. In this, with the way you're exercising, are you changing up, like doing double the amount of shoulder work? Are you doing less shoulder work to get yourself prepared? Because it's really, I've had 2 shoulder surgeries. You can't pay me to do this, Joe. Be honest with you, it's not gonna happen.
Mm.
Like, I'm not doing. It's crazy. How do you think the prep has been so far? I know you said it's slacking a little bit, but we have a month to go here. Like, how,
Yeah.
maybe this is the fire here.
Yeah. I mean, it's been a challenge. When I first had the goal, I was hitting it hard, and then my shoulders were
Yep.
saying, "Hey, you're not supposed to do this." So I said, "Okay, shoulders, let me try to take care of you more." So I had to do less in order to achieve more. Like I said, doing like the opposite motion of pushing and working on that pulling and working the opposite muscle group to strengthen that whole area. That's benefited me. I've been getting shoulder massages after every shoulder workout. I only do it twice a week now. I go light and then heavy. One
That's the
day,
way to do it. Yeah.
yeah. And the other days I do stability work on my shoulders. I do the opposite muscles. I work on my core because this lift also challenges your core and your balance because you're on your feet. You get legs involved in that way too. So I just, yeah, and the knees have also been bothering me, but I fixed that issue by strengthening the knees a little bit more. So
Yeah. And for people who like don't, or not lifters, whatever, like for my working sets, for me doing my shoulder workout, I'm doing 3 or 4 working sets of basically 40. I'm doing less than what you do, 45 pounds on each, because that for me is good. And I would say, Joe, I don't know if you looked into handstands. Handstands may help this as well, because it's a way to get the stability and the mobility without putting a lot of tension with the weights. That's a little trick that I yeah.
completely agree with you.
Have you been trying any of that? Because that's great. I was trying to get into handstands work. It's another level of work.
Yeah. That's something I'm glad you brought that up. That's something that I actually can't do at this moment. Maybe I can do it physically, but it's a mental hurdle because I attempted that way too soon after my treatments.
Mm.
And I didn't get hurt, thank God, but I could have. I could have hit my head. And with all the trauma my brain went through, that wouldn't have been a good thing. So
Oh,
I've tried since then, and I think I'm strong enough to hold myself, but I mentally can't get up there. I used to do handstand push-ups before my sickness, but I agree with you. If you could do handstand work, that's great, Scott. It's not
I
easy.
mean, handstand against the wall, Joe. I'm
Yeah.
not saying. Of course,
No,
that's
no,
the way
no.
That's the way I'm
I'm
doing.
talking about that too.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
not doing straight handstands. That would be the next level.
Yeah.
No,
I had
dude,
a few
that's
friends that were able to do that. Me, I was always against the wall.
and then you got another Zavarian guy. You got Pat Jackson next to you doing deadlifts. You got Chemo doing deadlifts. Dude, this is gonna be fun, man.
Yeah, I think, include the gym. They're both trainers, Patrick and Chemo. The gym is just a great community and they contribute to that community. They're they're great. They're positive. They bring good clients in and they're passionate about fitness and they're both great people. So I'm happy. I'm happy to have them along, join the team and
How are you feeling physically another year after being in remission, knock on wood, and all of that? Do you feel different? Do you feel the same? Do you feel better? Is it less of a scare, let's say, or something of something going wrong?
I'll try to keep this part kind of brief, but the first part of 2022 was rough when it came to that. I guess I didn't realize how damaged I was internally.
Mhm.
And I had like alternative medicine when I did the event from last year because I was tired of doing prescription stuff. And so I was having, I took like basically different vitamins. I had a alternative medicine doctor guide me in that, and he gave me supplements and things like that. And um, I didn't like how I felt inside. My blood work indicated my hormones were not ideal. So I went another route and I found a great endocrinologist to help kind of balance out my
Mm.
hormones. His name is Dr. Kalamia. I got to shout him out. Um, Changed my life, got me on the right program. I was kind of depressed at the beginning of the year when I got off the alternative medicine. But when I met him and he put me on the right treatment, I slowly got better. And I could confidently say at September of 2022 is when I started feeling like my old self. And that's when I came up with this ambitious goal of standing shoulder presses. I started at 95 pounds and worked my way up. And I'm very thankful to get to where I am now. But yeah, that's basically, I
So
forget your question. I'm
no,
sorry.
no, man, you're good. So last year when you were doing it, you were feeling relatively when in physical shape because you looked good. You were ripping through. You were pretty good. And then right when this year started, that's
Mm,
when the internal stuff started. Because these are things I don't
hmm.
even think about. Like people don't even realize. Like, oh yeah, you have fucking internal issues.
Yeah,
Endocrinologist, I would be having a fucking freak out. So like
yeah,
last year when you were doing it, you were pretty solid, and you just had a little bit of this. That's a big hiccup, Joe. It's 9 months of feeling like garbage.
yeah. I gotta say though, I started probably I think April. I started the treatment, so I gradually got better, but September was really the month that I was just like, okay, this is me, you know. But over the summer, um, it was getting better at that point. So
And now regarding like remission, getting checked on, all this stuff, are these things that go through your mind, and how much checking up on that do you have to do in where you're at now?
yeah, so actually my last appointment was last month in October 2022, and I was told that it's the 2 year mark, and now I only need to get checked every 3 months rather than every other month. It was every
Nice.
month. It was every day at one point, but they went to every month, and now every 2 months, and now every 3 months is the schedule. So once a quarter.
So you're moving from once, but relatively you were doing once a month, and there
Hmm.
was not a hiccup or anything. Knock on wood. And once this 2 year mark hits, that's a big deal.
Yeah, my chances of recurrence goes down to below or to 1 to 2%, I was
Oh
told. But
shit,
yeah,
dude.
to me it's 0%, but
Yeah.
to the doctor, 1 to 2%. It's not coming back. Yeah.
Wow. Now,
Actually,
yeah,
Scott, if I could interrupt,
please.
I wanted to tell you about something that's helped me, and let me give a shout out to Dan Fretchling. I've heard the podcast. Hey, Dan, you said so many nice things about me when you were on the show, and I appreciate it. You said some great things too, and it actually helped encourage me for this year. When I wasn't feeling too well, in the beginning part of the year, well, I don't think your podcast happened at that point, but once I listened to it, it kind of got me refocused. So thank you, Dan. I want to add, so where I was going with this. I have something I call the 100% rule.
Mm.
And this originated when I had been told that I would have to undergo high dose chemo, where 50% survival rate. And actually, at the time, little did I know I had a much lower survival rate months before that, but I didn't know that. Anyway, 50% survival rate, that was told to me. And I felt really depressed when that happened. I instantly crying. My parents started crying. We're all crying. I felt bad for myself for a couple of days. And luckily, my support system comes through again. It's not 50% for you. It's 100% for you. I have heard this multiple times from multiple people. They didn't even talk to each other. You're not like they would tell me good things like you're not a statistic. It's 100%. And then I started believing it, and it's like
Mhm.
100% rule. And it is 100% if you make it 100%. Because me personally, I wasn't going to stop until I was better. I didn't have a choice. In my mind, you don't got to give yourself you don't give yourself a choice. 100, you could poke holes in that logic that, oh, what if something does happen? But you know what? I'm not going to stop until something does happen that I want. And I applied that again to my depression in the beginning of 2022, to where I was going to get better. And I felt really bad and depressed. And I was like, wait a minute, I got to go back to the 100% rule. 100%, I'm going to get better because I'm not going to stop until I feel like if you really want something, you'll do it because you're not going to stop till you do it.
Exactly. And we've discussed that on this podcast multiple times. Like your thoughts are so undervalued. Like your thoughts really become your reality. And the science has shown that the people who believe that they're going to get better with cancer typically do. The people who are under
Mm,
stress and thinking negatively, they don't. It's just what the statistics say. And I don't know what the science is. I don't know what the woo woo shit is. I just know that that is the way it is. And this is when it comes down to life. Like you could pick that life has no meaning and I could be a bum, or life has no meaning. It's great. Who cares? Like we just here to have a good time. Like you could get to pick the meaning of life. And that's why I love talking about this stuff, because it is the meaning that you decide to give it. Your cancer has the meaning you give it. And instead of, you could use this as a crutch for the rest of your life, Joe. You could have been in a hole somewhere. Instead, you're giving it the meaning of it potentially being something that's not only fundamentally changed you, but it could change people. You've obviously changed people at Sloan Kettering by helping them, but fundamentally change the way people view these hardships that happen in life.
You know, you just got life's not fair, you know, and I'm lucky. There are people who had it much worse. There are people, you know, there are people you could apply that 100% rule, but maybe their cancer was so bad that there's nothing they could have done. But you can't think like that while you're still fighting it. And positivity, and I hope to pass that along when it comes to people dealing with uncomfortable situations, because it's part of life. Life's not fair, and we can't be victims. We can't blame people. We can't say why me, because that's destructive. Dan Fretchling actually said that. Don't play the blame game. And you know, it's inevitable sometimes, but maybe give yourself a day. It's okay to blame yourself for a little while, but you got to snap out of it, and you got to say, hey, I'm better than this. Let's go. You know, I'm going to be positive. So
No, dude, that's well said. And even me, I've had enough knocks at the end of this year where I very much have been living in that. I was living in that world until I got mugged. Actually, until I got hit. It was so weird. I was living that. Why me? You know me. That's not my style. I'm usually like,
no,
yeah, I'm gonna
I'm
take
actually
everything.
very surprised you
Yeah,
said that.
dude, I was living that way the whole year. I made up all this stuff and about work, and you're a jerk, and everybody's jerk. And then all of a sudden, I'm not a person who's gonna break in chaos. I kind of see what the truth is in the chaos. So after I got mugged, everything's been relatively. I mean, obviously bad things are happening, but like I feel more calm in the situation because I'm saying the hit happened for a reason. It reminded me of my resilience. It reminded me of, okay, you could literally take a hit physically, emotionally, all this shit. Like you forget how strong you are. So it's just funny. Like I could have like, and even your story, Dan, and I will also shout out Dan because we love Dan on the show, CEO of Boltiv. We love you. Dan's gonna listen to this. I'm sending it to him regardless. So Dan, we love you. All
Yeah,
that good stuff.
Dan, I tried reaching out to you. I think you might have missed my email, but
Dan, get
it's
his
okay.
fucking email, Dan. No. And no, dude. And but what do you say to that person who's listening to this going, "Oh, positive bullshit, Joe.
Mm,
You don't know what I went through." Blah 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 blah.
yeah.
I still think it comes down to it's really that simple that you just can't play the blame game. You have to look like the way I use these. I use an analogy like there's always going to be people in your life that love you and the people that don't. And you could choose to stare at the people who don't love you, or you could choose to focus on the good. Like that's the way that we're wired. Sorry to say it. And I think that's the only way to get yourself out of this is really accepting that and picking the good. You have to choose the good.
Yeah.
It's not going to come to you.
Yeah. You know, I would tell those people that you don't know what I went through who are saying that. And I would say, you're right. I don't, man. Maybe you have it worse than anything I've ever went through. Maybe that's the case. There are people out there that have it worse. And, you know, it's, you got to accept your situation and you got to move forward from it. I'm not saying you can't complain, but I'm saying that complaining and self-pity doesn't help you. So just try. All you have to do is try. There's an old parable in the Bible. I don't know where it came from, but um, where I think it was, I should have probably rehearsed this before I bring it up, but
No, let it
it
go,
might have been
Joe. Live.
Jesus.
Okay.
It might have been Jesus that said it, but he was talking about faith in God, and saying that if you have as much faith as a tiny mustard seed and you plant that mustard seed, that's all you need is a mustard seed worth of faith, and then the tree grows from that. I'm talking outside of the religious belief. Self-belief, I believe, is the same concept. You just starts with a little and you build and it compounds, and that's what you need when you're going through some things, just a little bit of positivity. And I believe, and anyone who needs to hear this, I believe that a little positivity, you will grow that little positivity and grow it into something much bigger.
Yes. And you were totally accurate. Jesus did say that, Matthew 17:20. For truly I say to you, if you have faith the size of a mustard seed, you will move a mountain. Move from here to there and it will move, and nothing will be impossible for you. That's a good one. Joey.
I can't believe you pulled
gotta,
it up that
You
fast. You
gotta,
got some
Joe,
skills.
come on, Joe. I got I'm my own Jamie. That's like the Rogan by myself.
Yeah,
But that's
I was
yours,
gonna
Joe.
say, where's
You
Jamie?
gotta add that. You add that into your when you're doing your public speaking in a couple of years. You add that's yours parable. I'm not taking that. That's you. Matthew 17:20, because
Okay.
that's the. And it's funny, Joe, that you said that because that's my birthday backwards, 2/17 as well. So there you go. So you'll never forget that. But
Well, that's really cool.
dude, all good. But Joey, dude, thank you so much for joining me. Everyone, December 17th, Better Than Before 2. Joey will be there. I will be there. Come hang out at Dolphin. Do people have to sign up to would they need a day pass or something, Joe? Like how would that
Yeah,
work?
I believe last year, Dolphin, just you got to sign a waiver because there's equipment and insurance. But
Mm-hmm.
I believe last year, we let outsiders in. There
Okay.
was food. We had some good pizza. We had some homemade pasta. We had some desserts. It was great. So come hang out. I'd appreciate it if you can donate whatever you can. At the time of this recording, there is $0 donated because I haven't made it public yet. But um, if you're seeing this and if you know someone with cancer or you have cancer yourself, just know I believe in karma and paying it forward. And if you have the capacity to donate, I would really, not just me, everyone
Yeah.
who it's benefiting it would really appreciate any donation of any kind, even the thought of donating. So I appreciate you, and Scott will have the link up in his
Yeah,
podcast.
the links are in below, but if you're listening to this, just click on the episode and you're good. And if not, you go to my Instagram, go to Joe's Instagram, which is also I'm gonna send them to the Better Than Before, right?
Better than
1420.
before,
Yeah.
12:10 is my
12:10.
Instagram. It'll be live. The event will be live, so you'll
Oh,
get to,
perfect.
yeah,
Perfect. Yeah.
yeah.
So you all this info is in the notes below, but think about donating. I'm surely will, and hopefully we could beat that 35,000, Joey.
That'd be great, but I'm not putting pressure on myself because that's
No, don't
that's a
put pressure.
slippery slope.
But yeah, come hang out with us. It's gonna be a good time, and get to see this kid try to pull it off. So it's gonna be. I'll work out before, but I'm just gonna watch for this one, Joe. So
Scott, I appreciate you.
of
You have a
course,
great
dude.
platform. It's a
Dude, let me
great
just tell you guys,
podcast.
like Joe's like, there's people who come on here and they do the whole face. Like Joe checks up on me more than most. He checks up on me in the gym. Even when I like checks up and make sure I'm good. So, dude, I appreciate you. And whatever you always need, we're always here. The cause and effect community got you. So
Awesome to hear that. All right, Scott. Good luck
all
with
good.
everything. All right.
Cool. Thank you, Joe. Good luck to all of us. Causing the effect. Thank you guys. Yo, 100,000 downloads last month. You guys are the best. I don't know what's happening, Joe. I love doing this. I love you guys. Like, subscribe, review, all that bullshit. Just tell one of your friends about it. That's all I need.
And follow me. I only have 200 followers on
Could you
Instagram for
fucking
Better Than
somebody
Before.
fucking follow this kid, please, guys? Go follow him. That's
But
it.
that's fine.
As always, stay safe, stay positive, stay blessed. Peace.